kindergarten, or if there are any concerns that need to be evaluated through the special education office. And what you see there, the increase there, not only was it previously funded by a grant, but that's the actual cost. That's how many hours she puts in. She's an hourly employee. And it just depends on, A, how many kids she has to screen, and how many kids we have that transition from the early intervention program into our preschool program. And that can just fluctuate year to year. It just depends on how many kids there are doing that. So in proposing things for next year, we want to put in that actual cost. Okay, jumping down to the final line item on page 4 that's highlighted for you. It has to do with, for the past many years, we've had a young man at North Jamestown High School who's been in need of a one-to-one assistant. He's not graduating, so we're able to decrease that budget due to his graduation from the high school. So always want to have a line item in there because there may be some things from NK that right now wouldn't be accounted for under the tuition agreement. So we want to make sure we keep a line item in there.
That's a pretty significant increase.
It is. Great. Excited that he's graduating. He's such great kids. Okay. The next page, the top of page 5, both myself and my administrative assistant are actually split across the budget in 2 different locations. We're split both in special education, and as many of you know, I have this other hat that I wear in the district of all of the things that fall under the superintendent tells you to do list, including transportation. And so to be fair that not 100% of my job is special education, I am accounted for in 2 different places, and then we account for my administrative assistant in 2 different places as well.
Could I just interrupt for a minute? This is the first line that includes clerks, which are our administrative assistants, secretaries. And I am recommending a 0 increase. These are non-union positions. These are folks who did get a raise last year. I'm recommending 0 for them for the coming year. But it looks like in the way that the budget is put together that there is an increase for them. And Jane can explain why that happened, and we want to make sure that going forward we don't proceed like we did to make it hard to explain. Because there isn't an increase there.
Last year, because of negotiations and at the time of budgeting, contracts were completed. So we had budgeted in the salary contingency the increases for the administrative assistants. And then they were then evaluated and awarded the raises. So that money is sitting in the contingency. Because we never had another meeting to distribute those funds, in the past, there was a time when the salary contingency was distributed, and then it was kind of, then there was different numbers going forward, and it seemed like it was perceived as something different. So we did just not have the salary contingency moved into the lines that they were intended to, that they were budgeted for. So these individuals did receive those raises, and their current salaries that are listed here budgeted are just not reflected in those, but they did receive 3.5%, and it is in the salary.
Last year's salary.
Last year's.
So this year, although that number looks bigger, it's the same number as it was last year, plus the small amount of the contingency that was their raise. And you'll see that in 5 different cases, because each of these lines are budgeted separately. But they're all in the same group of employees.
Okay. The final highlighted line item for special education has to do with professional development, and this goes back to the same thing that Dr. Lucan's already referenced, that our Article 31 money was cut. This accounts for keeping our special education staff up to date on staff development, and they would participate in whatever the principals have going. So if they're working on an English writing curriculum component over the summer, my expectation is there's a special education staff representative at the table with them doing that. In addition, as you know, there can be a number of things that I need to send staff to. Might be something specific to autism training, or something specific to the state has new LD learning disabilities criteria that they're rolling out. Making sure that we cover the subs to send those staff to get that appropriate training, and so you'll see that there's an increase in that component. My hope would be, depending on what our grant funds look like, but we don't know that today, is that I can help support the local funds by using some grant funds in a line item like this, but not, I can't tell you that today, and the staff felt it's too important to not make sure that it's budgeted for the special education staff as well. So that's the summary of special ed.
The next line item is a new student information system. School Max has finally the bucket and told our administrative assistants that we were going to have to change. Usually when you announce that you get retrained, they cheered this time because they hate School Max so much. This system, in fact, Rhinet is not going to support School Max going forward. There is a new version of it, but there's been a group that's done a lot of research on what's the best system out there, most user-friendly, have the ability to produce the reports easily and to the detail that anyone would want them. But we have to do the program changeover. When SchoolMax came on, the state helped to pay. We're still not sure because the commissioner's Race to the Top application does include a lot of goals related to the data warehouse, data reporting, and if that grant comes through, perhaps there'll be some money to help districts switch. But we don't know that right now, so we did include that in the budget. And then there's
What's the name of the new system?
it's Apex 2, I believe is the name of I believe that's
It's probably an acronym for something, but.
Yeah, we don't know.
And then for this year, and then going forward, the cost per student each year for the maintenance and use of the programs is $12 a student.
And I apologize, I'm thinking back to when teachers would actually mark it in a notebook. So how is this actually used? Do teachers actually write it in a notebook and then have to go input it in the system, or?
No, they each have a computer, and they sit down and they do their attendance in the morning on the computer that goes into the database. There's a whole lot more information. It's our total student database. Although this line says attendance, it does attendance, but then everything else.
Right, and then is that shared across the state, so we get trends?
That's where we get our data to populate the state reports when they ask us for specific information. We have that, we collect it and set it up in a way that we can extract it and report to the state. That was what was so difficult about SchoolMax.
Yeah.
Was trying to, it's like a black hole. You put everything in and then try to get anything out that was meaningful or useful was very frustrating.
Does NECA have data dumped into this? Other?
It's in the data warehouse,
Right.
yes, so
Not in
hopefully
SchoolMax.
it's going to be, we're going to be able to access it. That's been the whole problem. We have not, all this data is there, but we can't
Reporting on it is-
extract out,
yeah.
take it first to the students and get it there.
They keep
We
asking
have the
for it
last
and
4
they keep
years, that
dumping
should
it
be
into the
able
hole.
to, that's what, yeah, that's a lot of the race to the top.
And we've been to workshops to try to figure out how to get it back out. But, we're not experts, but we're pretty computer savvy and none of us can do it.
That's a big part of the race to the top, so
Sure.
straightening out the whole
Absolutely.
data problem because it's been a long battle.
And in the end, the new chart of account should then tie into the student information system, should tie into the NECAP results, and we ought to be able to do correlations.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to get that kind of
Oh, yeah.
information. And doing some extractions like we were talking about last night of our students that look larger databases and do some comps there. So the fee part of that has been in the budget. It was less than $12 a student, but school has going up, I think, to 14.
I know, it was going to increase.